everybody, Harold here. In my fourth and final video on the Tidyr package in the Tidyverse, I want to talk to you about the last two verbs I haven't covered, unite and separate. Uh, you can do a lot of these things in string R with your split and concatenation commands, but sometimes they're easier to do with unite and separate. So let me show you how those work. First thing I'm going to do is make a tribble. If you don't know what a tribble is, it's a transpose tibble, and you can create a small data frame in this format with your column name preceded by a tilde, and then just list out your data under there. Close the whole thing in parentheses. So let's run that. See what that is. It's a tibble, but it's a transpose tibble just because we created it. There's character and number types. So I want to unite type and ID. I want to say thing one, thing two, thing three, etc. So I'll say things, pipe into that unite, give it the name, what you want your new column to be, columns you want to unite, and remove argument equals false. That will leave the two original columns in your tribble. So let's run that. So down here, we now have a tibble, thing underscore one is now our new name column. And our two original columns, thing and one, and type and ID. The default separator in Unite is an underscore. You can add a sep argument to make it whatever you want. So let's just make it a space instead. So sep equals quote space quote. Put a comma for remove. Okay, let's run that. So now it's a nice clean thing one. I could put anything in there I want to. Or no string, empty string will make it just right with no space. Let's leave it with a space. If I say remove equals true, then I would just get the thing one name column. The other two are gone. If there's one or more argument you can use, and if you had NAs, you could say NA RM equals true, and that'll take them out. But I'm not going to use that one. I don't have any NAs. So let's move on. That's unite. Separate. Separate is, well, that's not really deprecated. I should change this. Superseded. But I still like it. I'll show you the superseding separate functions in a minute, but let me just show you why I like separate so much. The default argument for separate, the default sep, is this regex, regular expression. And what it does, it doesn't matter what the separator is, as long as it's not a letter or a number, separate's going to separate it. So that's why I like to use the original separate. Let me show you. Here's a tribble with banana slash split, banana dash split, banana dot split, banana pipe split, banana comma split. I just want those to say banana split. So let me create the tribble. There it is, the tibble. So banana, just like I wrote it. Well, I want to say stuff, and so instead of naming one new column to unite, I want to separate thing column into two new columns, vector, bananas, and splits. And I want to remove the original thing column. If I wanted to keep it, again, set remove equals to false. So there's my ID, my bananas, and my splits. It separated them into two columns and removed any one of these characters. Doesn't matter which one, because that's a wild card, this regular expression. Now, here's one you could do. Create a data frame real quick. Bananas, banana 10, banana 20, banana 30, banana 40. This is a long regular expression, but just an example. Another separate. So bananas looks like this down here. Use a regular expression to separate the transition between letters and numbers. So I want to say banana 10 and banana in one column, 10 in another column, so on and so forth. So I can say banana split bananas equals bananas, separate ID into fruit and number. The separator equals, and you just might want to copy this one, this long regular expression. So this is a little advanced example. So it didn't run. Oh, I need to run banana split. Then view banana split. So fruit, banana, num 10, fruit, banana, num 20. Split at the transition between letters and numbers. Another thing with separate, it doesn't have to be just two columns. You can do multiple columns. And if you don't have them, it'll create a column. Let's watch this. If I say bananas, separate ID into part 1, 2, and 3, it'll separate the numbers and letters and then create a new column, fill equals right. So if I had some that had two entries in two columns in NA and some that had entries in three columns, it would put three columns and fill the empties with NAs. Since I don't, what do you think's going to happen? Well, it's going to fill me, I'll show you, banana split 2, a whole new column 3 with just NAs. So if I had banana 10 dash X, that would be banana 10X, and the rest would be NAs. That's what the fill argument does. Okay, let's get to the superseding. Separate was superseded in favor of three functions based on string R, I should say. Separate wider delim, so a little tibble, ID column 1, 2, and 3. X is a vector 1, 2, thing 1, thing underscore 1, thing underscore 2, thing underscore 42. So let's create that tibble, show it to you. Here's my thing underscore 1, so on and so forth. If I say separate wider at the delimiter and use the underscore, of course you can use whatever it is, it'll split them into two new columns, vector here, type and num. So ID 1, type thing, number 1. Same with 2 and 42. Now, along with wider, there is position. Separate wider by position X. Width equals C, list. Type equals 5. So the first 5 characters of the type column. The skip argument is 1. Skip 1 character. And the last 2 characters are the num column. So let's run that. Oh, we got an error. So error in separate wider position. Expected 8 characters. Let's see. Let's look at our table. So thing 1 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 for the space. 7 for the 1. Okay. Thing 2 has 7. Thing 42 now has 8. So expected 8 characters in every column, but 2 of them, thing 1 and thing 2, were too short. So what does it say to do? It says use too few to debug to diagnose. Too few equals debug to diagnose the problem. So this is kind of neat. So now I have ID, type, num, and debug mode was activated. Added variables xok, xwidth, and xremainder. So xwidth 7, that is not okay, false. Of thing 1. Xwidth of thing 2 is 7, that is not okay, false. Xwidth of thing 42 is 8, and that is true, that's okay. So to fix it, you use too few align equals start to silence this message. So fix the error, add the argument too few align equals align start. Said that backwards before. So let's try that. All right. Now that allowed me to align them too few. It let it know that it wanted to go 8, just so it just put spaces there or blanks. Now you can also use separate wider with a regular expression. So separate wider regex ec. Where did I go? Oh, separate wider regex x patterns equals C. So this pattern C type dot star matches all characters up to the first underscore. That matches the underscore delimiter was ignored since it's not assigned to a name column. So it's going to take the delimiter out. And this matches 1 or more digits, either 1, 2, or 42. So let's try that. So that also worked. The regex. I think the position and position and delim are much easier. So we have one more separate longer. You can do that by delimiter or position. Let me just show you what it does. It's kind of easier to show you than explain it. Here's a typical thing 1, thing 1A, NA. Let's create that. Okay, that looks like that, right? 1 thing, 2 thing 1, 3 thing 1A, 4 NA. So if I separate it longer using space as the delimiter, what it does is takes a string and splits it into multiple rows. So it took the string thing with 1 and split it to, well, there were no spaces. It was just one thing, so it's 1 thing. Then it took 2 and made it thing, 2 thing, and using the delimiter, 2, 1. And then 3 thing, 3, 1, 3A, 4 NA. There's no space. It's just going to put NA. So it took each item here in the X column, and wherever there was a space, it moved it down 1, but it gave it the same ID. So you can also separate longer by position. So thing 4, thing, stuff, and an empty string. If I say separate longer by position 1, what do you think is going to happen? Well, it's going to give me 10 rows, 5 ones for each letter, a 1 for each letter and thing, and a 1 for each letter and a 2 for each letter and stuff. It's going to give me a tibble 10 by 2 with 5 ones and 5 twos in the ID column, and each letter from the word in 1 next to the ones, and each letter from the word in 2 next to the twos. Try to guess what happens if I put a 2 for the argument. It's going to split at position 2, so every 2 letters will get it. And there should be a modulo. So 1 TH, 1 IN, and the modulo here, I guess you could call it a modulo, is G, and ST, UF, modulo F. So that's what separate longer by position does. And that is the conclusion of my Tidyr series. Hope you learned something from it. Hope you liked it. If you did, please like it and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.